During World War II, 120,000 Japanese and Japanese Americans were sent to internment camps. Here is a picture of the internment camp that my father, Reverend Hosenseki, spent 3 years in. It's the Kuskia internment camp in a remote area of Idaho. On January 31, 1951, the American Buddhist Academy was formally organized as a religious corporation under the laws of the state of New York. Reverend Seki began conducting classes, inviting prominent Buddhist scholars to lecture. Among other things, there were demonstrations of Japanese tea ceremony and flower arrangement classes. Mr. Percy Whiting, who spent 40 years in Japan, gave a 13-part seminar on Buddhism and the history of Japanese culture. On September 11, 1955, the groundbreaking ceremony for the American Buddhist Academy Chapel and the unveiling ceremony of the Shinran Shonin statue were conducted on the vacant lot adjacent to the recently purchased Academy building at 331 Riverside Drive. Professor Tomoe Arai of the Herbert H. Lehman College Library in New York City volunteered her expertise in 1973 to catalog and systematize the Academy Library books. And the new beginning really started in 1995. The ownership of the Academy building at 331 Riverside Drive was formally transferred from the American Buddhist Academy to the New York Buddhist Church. In the best interest of both institutions, to permit the church to assume the complete responsibility for the modernization and maintenance of the Academy building, in exchange, the church would provide the Academy with a 99-year lease of the third floor of the modernized building. My brother, Hoken Seki, took over and worked at forming a new board of trustees to reflect the new global dimension of Buddhism more accurately. The present began in 1998. My brother turned over the American Buddhist Academy to me. Myself and my wife, Josephine, worked together to form a new board, which included Josephine Seki, Reverend Dr. Taitetsu Uno, Reverend Arthur Bergara, Brian Nagata, and Isabel Bernard. Later, Abe Yoshida, Gary Jaskula, Dr. Gordon Vermont, and Mark Sullivan joined the board. We changed the name to the American Buddhist Study Center, trying to keep as close to the original name as possible. Gary Moriarty handled our incorporation and listed us as a Buddhist Research Center. On November 14, 1999, the first gathering of the American Buddhist Study Center was held for the members of the New York Buddhist Church on the newly renovated third floor. It so happened that the Gomonchu Koshin Otani was visiting the New York Buddhist Church. He graciously officiated over our opening service. All the books that were in storage during the restoration, we had them all shipped back to the ABSC, which amounted to hundreds of boxes. Now, here are some pictures of the third floor. The first one is a picture of the staircase leading up to the third floor. The main library room, the reception area where we hold programs and little gatherings and meetings, our bookstore, and my office. Over the past 12 years, we held art exhibitions, lectures, symposiums, tributes, field trips, and published 18 publications. Here is just a small sampling. We had field trips to the Vihara Buddhist Temple in Princeton to see the largest sitting Buddha statue on the East Coast. Then we had a tribute to George Aritani. This was the first out-of-state event for us. George was a great Japanese-American philanthropist legend. And then we had a tribute to D.T. Suzuki at MoMA. What an historic event, with Dr. James Dobbins as one of our keynote speakers. At the study center, we held many lectures and talks. Here is one with Reverend Dr. Taitetsu Uno. Here is a field trip to the University of Penn when Dr. Gordon Vermont set up a talk with Dr. Mark Blum. Then there was the 60th anniversary of the Shinran Shonin statue. Here we see Reverend Umezu helping to clean the Shinran Shonin statue. We hosted many authors. Here is Manoru Funai designing his book, The Monkey Pod Tree, which we published. Here's a picture of Yukiko Sato. We turned our library into a sewing school, and she was teaching us how to make yukatas. Here are the participants to hear Reverend Dr. David Matsumoto and Professor James Kay to speak about Buddhism and philosophy. Those are just some of the many programs we held.